This is Michael from Swanky Turtle Games.
This is Chris from Swanky Turtle Games, and this is Legends of Tabletop.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Doing
Very
awesome.
good.
That's cool. That's cool. You guys have a Kickstarter going right now for RB8 Baseball, so I'm glad to get you on and talk about that a little bit. But I guess we met over at MaricopaCon earlier this year.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, MaricopaCon was a lot of fun. You taught us some games while we were there, so we had a good time.
Yeah, you guys gave me some good suggestions. I wound up picking the Jaipur and Seven Wonders Duel, which have been pretty big favorites here at the house now.
Yeah, you showed us Shogun, and I got the big box deluxe edition after we left there.
Yep. And we played Samurai too, I think, right?
Yeah, we did.
I love Samurai. Yeah, I still haven't got it yet, but that's on my list. I got to try and pick it up soon because that one is stuck in my brain since the time we played it. I just like the simplicity of it, but the depth of strategy was awesome. I love that game. So
you guys murdered me, so I kind of forgot about that game.
It was revenge for Shogun. He beat us in Shogun, so we had to get him back in Samurai.
That's why I bought Shogun. I won.
Yeah, Samurai's a lot of fun. Through the Desert's a lot of fun too. Similar, but not the same. But another Kinesia game, which is really, he's like my go-to anymore. Did you guys see what is it, Blue Lagoon that came out at Gen Con, I guess, this year?
Yeah.
That's. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I'm just saying, yeah, that game looks like it's up Chris's alley, so I'll let him talk about it.
That is probably the number one on my wish list of the new games that came out. Because one, I love Kinesia, and two, the artwork in it just looks amazing. Like, I feel like it's gonna be a perfect game. I can get my wife and like non-gamers to play with me because it doesn't look like it's too complex from the reviews and stuff I watch, but it seems like it has that classic like Kinesia like depth to it. I definitely got to pick it up. We're going out to BGG Con in Dallas in like 2 weeks. And so that's near the top of my list of ones I might grab on there. We'll see.
Yeah, I've been looking them. I still have to look at a couple of reviews. I want to watch a playthrough and see like.
Yeah.
I picked up Tigris and Euphrates, and figure like, oh, it's part of that tiling trilogy, so to speak. And I'm sure I'm gonna love it. And then we played it. I'm like, it's okay. It's not as good as Through the Desert or Samurai. I didn't think.
Mm-hmm. Well, they just came out with another game that's like a sequel to Tigris and Euphrates, or like say like a spiritual successor, like Yellow and Yancy or something like that. But I hear it's very, very similar. So I haven't played either Tigris or Euphrates or that one, but you probably, if Tigris or Euphrates didn't do it for you, that's probably not the one. But I know that's actually the one that's like getting even more hype than Blue Lagoon this year, from what I've heard. So.
Yeah, I saw a couple of pictures of it. It looked like they even used the same like leader markers and stuff, and I was like, "Well, that's really weird." Like, I have this game at home already.
Yeah, I heard it's just like a slight tweak to like the combat is what was done in this one, but I don't know specifically. But I would like to give it a try just because I'm a big Kinesia fan as you are, but I don't. That one hasn't jumped off the page for me either. To like, oh, I got to go get Tigris and Euphrates,
Yeah, I would play the new one if someone had it. I don't know that I would seek it out to like go and buy it,
Yeah.
All right. Well, how did you guys meet? How did you guys come together?
Well, Chris, we met, and I invited him over to my house, and what do we play, Chris? We played Catan, I believe.
Yeah, the very first time we met, Mike invited me and my wife over to his house for dinner, and after dinner they pulled out Catan, and in that moment I knew that me and Mike were destined to be best friends. I was like, this is meant to be, because I was fairly new to Arizona. I'm originally from Baltimore, and so at the time I didn't really have any gamer friends at all in Phoenix. So when I realized that he was into games, I was like, okay, I gotta make sure this guy likes me enough to invite me over to play his game collection. And at that point, his game collection wasn't anywhere near as impressive as it is now. His game collection's grown a lot since we got together, but that was kind of it. Gaming has been like at the core of our friendship from the start. So we got off to the right foot, I guess.
Yeah, I was newly moved back from Seattle too, so my gaming scene wasn't happening in Arizona at the time either. So I was big into HeroClix for a while, and so I showed it to Chris, and when he showed interest in it, I knew he had to be my friend. So, so we played a lot of HeroClix for a while.
Yeah, we were really into that for a little bit.
But it was too addictive to me, so I had to get rid of it. I spent too much money on it. So
that's the thing. Any of those miniatures games, man, they'll kill you. It's like, oh, you got to get this expansion and that thing, and like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it.
They shove it down your throat every like 2 weeks. It feels like a new set's coming out. And I couldn't like handle it anymore. So my wife was like, "This stuff's everywhere. You got to get rid of it." So yeah, so I got rid of most of it.
That's what they're doing with Star Wars now, right? You have all the Star Wars miniature stuff, and it seems like, yeah, like you say, like every week, oh, here's the Bounty Hunters pack, here's the Rebel whatever pack.
Yeah. I had to get out of collecting games, collectible games. So now I just have collect a million board games.
It's different. I mean, it's different.
Yeah. No, my family appreciates it more now that. Because the miniature stuff, my wife didn't play and stuff. So now I got these board games and she enjoys playing those. So it's been a lot better.
Yeah. Do your guys' spouses, do they play, like, are they in for like any sort of game, or are they in for lighter games, heavier games? Does it matter?
Well, you can go first, Mike.
Go ahead. I've been talking.
Okay. Well, for me, I know my wife is mainly into the lighter side of games. Her thing, she'll actually play really in-depth games. Her thing is the length of play. So she doesn't want to play anything that's like over an hour. If it's more than an hour, then she's tapped out. But she'll play a really in-depth game as long as it's just done in that 60-minute period. So that's kind of my barometer with her is, as long as the length is, her sweet spot would be like that 30 to 45 minutes, then she'll play pretty much anything, but her attention span doesn't make it much past that normally.
Right.
Yeah, my wife will play anything pretty much, but the problem is she'll turn a 35-minute game into a 3-hour game. Because her and one of her friends or something will start talking, and you know how it is. So it's just like a bunch of talking more than playing. So we exclude her from guys' game night on Wednesday. They sit in the kitchen while we play in the game room.
There you go.
So yeah, it's the girls get together. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm like your wife, Chris. I like an hour is good. A half hour is probably really like Splendor. We play so much Splendor, but it's great because you can do it in like 20 minutes, and then you can play it, twice, or you can play that and then pull out something else and play that for a half an hour. Like for me, because I play a lot of RPGs, if I'm going to invest like Twilight Imperium, if I'm going to be 6-8 hours, I would rather role play. Like it's for me, it's a no-brainer, but like it scratches a different itch, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my personal game collection at home, it is mostly those games that fit in that niche, because that's what when I'm not playing games with Mike, I'm normally playing games with my wife or my family. And so that's like the sweet spot is those 30, 40-minute games. And those are, if you look at my favorite games list, it's mostly made up of all those games, because I love when a designer is able to pack a lot of game in a short period of time. That's like, I'm sold when I see that. But I get my fix on the longer games when we have a Wednesday night game night. So whenever I want to play a longer game, I just save it for Wednesday night. And normally that's when we play, like on Wednesday nights, we'll play like a 2-hour or 3-hour game. And then that's my once a week fix for that. But outside of that, I'm normally playing the shorter stuff. Like I got this crazy little game called Kobyakawa, and you literally can play it in like 10 minutes. It's just like a quick little betting game. And that's become like one of my most played games, just because you can play like multiple rounds in a night, like so easy. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So same thing for me. Like I play at home. My brother comes over on Wednesday nights, ironically enough, and he comes over for dinner. We play games. My daughter and her boyfriend will all play games together, or we play a lot at work, and because of all the nonsense at work. Yeah, we used to do an hour, which was kind of our cutoff. So like that's, sort of my barometer when I go to the store is like, okay, that takes 4 hours to play. I'm not going to buy that. Like I'm not going to play unless I take it to a con. That was great with Shogun. I take it to cons and I run it there because it's the only time I get to play it.
Yeah, it's nice to have that excuse to get it played.
Yeah, I like a good 3-hour game. That's kind of my my barometer. So
yeah, the the longer and more complex, the better for Mike. That's like we're like the yin and yang of normal choices. Like we both enjoy them all, obviously, but he would definitely go towards the epic game experience for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was your experience, Mike, at MaricopaCon, I guess it was, with the Star Trek game you were trying out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to play Star Trek Ascendancy that I want to play for a long time. I was there when it got released at Gen Con, and there was a big hype for it, and I never got to play while I was there. And so someone was teaching it at MaricopaCon, so I got to play it, so that was awesome.
It was a couple hours, right?
Yeah, I think we played for at least 3. So yeah, it was a good day. But yeah, so I ended up buying that one too. So we did have a Star Trek Ascendancy Day here, but we had to do it on a Saturday because we knew it was going to take us like 3 or 4 hours to play it. So we're doing it on a Saturday afternoon. So
yeah, there you go.
Because Chris taps out too early on Wednesday night. So
Yeah, I have an early bedtime. I can't make it. I can't make it that late. So he had to make special arrangements to get me to play it. But I will say, if you get the chance to play it and you like Star Trek at all, it is a cool game. It's one that it's a little hard to get to the table because of how long it is, and especially if you're playing with new players, it'd be a little tricky to get new players in and teach them. But yeah, I'm really glad I got to play it. It's a lot of fun. Actually, I want to play it again because I dominated the first half of the game, and then I completely fell apart in the second half and lost. I was like eliminated. It's very hard to get eliminated from that game, and I got eliminated from the game because of some bad mistakes. So I want to redeem myself in that. So we have to plan a day here eventually to get my redemption for the Romulans.
It sounds suspicious. I think it got up to like 2.5 hours, and he was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. You guys win. I gotta go home. Like
right.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be the Romulan way there. He was just kind of conning us there. So.
All right. So did Swanky Turtle then come out of your guys's mutual love for board games then?
Yeah. I right around the first few times I met Chris again after having him over again, I knew he was a sports guy too, so I showed him my baseball game idea that I had in my head, and then I just started working it out, and so that's kind of where RB8 got his starts, and then we started play testing it, and so that was kind of like the first game that we kind of like played together as far as like designing. So
yeah, I mean, my entire life I designed games for like fun. Like me and my sister would just make up our own games out of a basic deck of cards, and we would just invent our own games or whatever. So I'd always had this like interest in game design, but it wasn't until I started hanging out with Mike and had a friend who was really into board games that my mind started to expand more into like real game design. And so we started working on RB8 and refining that, and he had already kind of had the core of the game, and then I just kind of helped with polishing it up and getting it to the state it's at now. And then from that we began springing on all these other game ideas that we're really excited about. And so it kind of it started there with RB8, and then our brains expanded into even more areas after that.
Cool. All right. Yeah, be honest. You brought out RB8. What was your first thought?
My first thought was I'd never played a baseball game in my life, and I was like, I don't know how is this going to take 3 hours? Like a real baseball game was my initial thought. And I was like, I don't know about this, but when I played it, the thing that really impressed me was that it was a dice and card game, but after we were done playing, it played out like a real baseball game, and that's what I thought was really cool was that. It really simulated baseball, and I thought that was a really unique thing that we could build on to kind of fill something that I didn't think was really in the market unless you went to like the really hardcore, Stratomatic baseball that really hardcore baseball nerds will get into all the numbers and spreadsheets and charts. And this was a much more like streamlined version of that. So I was really impressed. And initially I was maybe a little apprehensive, but after playing it the first time, I knew there was something about it that was different.
It's very much an emulator for sure. When Mike was like, "Oh, I got this game, you want to check it out?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool." We started going through it. I'm like, "Wow, this is like really kind of like playing a baseball game. Like you really do get that feel of, and there's a luck element obviously with rolling dice and how you set your lineup and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, very much an emulator.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say going back to my HeroClix roots I was talking about earlier is kind of where the idea of the baseball cards, each card having its own special ability type of a thing, kind of influenced me from my HeroClix playing days. So it's kind of like I want to get a I don't know, mash baseball with HeroClix to some extent.
Yeah, I think especially now when people see, because initially we didn't have the 8-bit art style. Initially we were using real players because we weren't worried about licensing issues or anything. We were testing ourselves, and so it had that real feel. But now when people see it with 8-bit art, I think maybe the first impression people have is going to be like this arcadey take on baseball, and that's the number one thing we get when we play tested with people is they're like, oh wow, this feels like real baseball. This doesn't necessarily feel like 8-bit, arcadey baseball. So I think it's kind of a neat twist that, you're playing this 8-bit look, but it really does play out like you're watching a baseball game,
Yeah. At what point did you guys sort of make that transition? I mean, was there ever a thought? I mean, I imagine licensing for Major League Baseball is like ridiculous, but what was the point where you're like, all right, we need to like actually, come up with a concept for this? Like, we're not going to be able to do, MLB. What was sort of the drive towards the 8-bit stuff? I mean, I know it's super popular, especially like, guys our age. We grew up, Nintendo and all that kind of stuff. We pulled it out of the box. I'm like, oh, it's so cool. It looks like, the old Nintendo game.
Yeah, I kind of put it on the shelf for a while just because I got hung up on not being able to get a license or whatever. I knew I had to like do something with it because I thought it was a great game, but I just needed to change the theme somehow. And I thought about creating like a whole new world with like sci-fi or something, baseball and space, or I don't know what. But then I played a Techno Bowl. It was a spin-off spoof of the old NES Tecmo football.
Mm-hmm.
And Brent Spivey, the creator of that game, did that in a board game version. And so I'm like, well, why don't I do that with my baseball game? Because I love 8-bit baseball and Tecmo Bowl and all that. So I'm like, that's a great idea to do that with my baseball game. So that's kind of where I got the idea from.
Cool. I remember I used to have the NES football, and I had a notebook full of like stats and stuff. I'd play like seasons out, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, it's a ongoing game that's been in my head since I was like 10 years old. So when I was 10 years old, I used to roll dice and bait with my baseball cards and make up my own game. So it's kind of evolved in my head for the last 30 years.
Well, how long did you actually spend, like, then, getting it to the table? How long did it kind of take you to sort of put things together?
I'm kind of a quick person. So when I get an idea, I want to get it going right away. So I started printing stuff out. We used the Game Crafter, which was a cool source to be able to print some stuff out quick. So, I like playing with stuff that looks good. So I got some nice little prototypes just for our own selves to use. So, once I got it down, it didn't take me long to at least get something to look good and that we can start playing with.
Yeah, I would say we've had prototypes for this game on the table for, probably like 2.5 years. We've maybe even a little longer than that. We've had some form of prototype, maybe going back 3 years. We made the switch to 8-bit art probably about a year ago. So up until about a year ago, our prototypes were still using, the real players that we just put on the cards. And then we made the switch maybe a year ago. But we've had the game on the table for a while in some form. And slowly over that time, we've added different things to it. And like Mike mentioned, what took us so long for us to actually be ready to launch it was just we kind of were in a holding pattern on the theme because we did look into getting the MLB license, and when we hit kind of a brick wall with that, we just were like, oh, what are we going to do? And then we kind of brought it back to life when we came up with the 8-bit theme. But yeah, it's definitely been a long time coming for this game.
Cool. Now, did you guys do the art yourselves? Did you bring someone in to do the art?
I started doing the artwork myself in the beginning. Also, I had my daughter do some of it too.
Oh, cool.
And but then there was just like a bunch of things I need to get done. So I'm like, well, I just found me an 8-bit artist. So I had a guy over in London actually, who
Cool.
actually knows nothing about baseball. But he was an inspiring 8-bit artist. So we hooked up, and I had to explain certain things in baseball to him, and he studied up on it. So now he's got an interest in baseball. So
there you go.
Well, and our box cover is something I was really proud of. I think we have some really cool box cover art. And I don't remember, Mike, where did you find that artist from? Because that was a different artist, but I can't remember where you found him from.
June Bayek was our artist for the box cover. I believe I found him on BGG. He had posted in someone forum or something about wanting to do box cover art, and I looked up his stuff on his Instagram account or whatever, and saw that he has some pretty good stuff and can do the cartoony look that I was looking for the old NES cover boxes of baseball stars. Kind of inspired the our cover art there.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, we're kind of dancing around a little bit. Why don't you tell us about the game specifically? How do you play? What's involved? What are we looking at?
Well, it features 16 teams with 270 some players. Well, close to that anyways. About 250 players probably. And then there's a rally card deck, what we call. So with the 16 teams, you can right out of the box just use them. But the way I designed it mostly to be played is using a draft system. So every card has a point value depending on how good the player is, whatever the ratings are, and the powers, abilities they have. So you can draft a team, build a team, play a series, however you want to do it, type of a thing. But and then it's pitcher versus batter on stats, and there's different elements of the game as far as the rally card deck I mentioned, where random things can happen. You can play a card and a streaker runs across the field, or this crazy stuff that happened in a baseball game. So it has all the look and feel of a real baseball game. It has the key charts that you go to when you roll dice. And Chris, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the heart of the game is you're going to look at your pitchers' ratings, which is control and stuff. They have individual ratings for each one, and you look at your hitter ratings, and then you compare them. So, for example, the pitcher might have a total rating of 15, and then the batter has a total rating of 14. You're then going to roll 2d6 to see who has the better rating. So, in that case, the pitcher has a +1 to whatever his dice roll is. So if that total equals more, whoever has more, then we'll get to roll another die to see if they control that bat, and then they roll another one to decide what actually happens in the at-bat. So obviously, if the batter has a control of the at-bat, he's going to have a much better chance of something good happening for him. And then if the pitcher does something better for the pitcher, is much more likely. And then you can make every decision that you can make in a real baseball game. So you can choose to steal a base, you can choose to tag up and try to get an extra base on a fly out. There's any number of things. And then, like Mike mentioned, we have the rally cards, which simulate a lot of real life baseball scenarios. So it really, like, if you're looking for something that really feels like real baseball, then I think it's something you'll like to play.
Yeah. So when the control dice are cool because it's one's a pitcher's die, one's a batter's die, and it's got the different custom icons on them and stuff. Like you said, if the pitcher gets control, you roll your dice and you compare your result to a key. And then if you're the pitcher, you roll on the pitching key, and if you control, then obviously, like you said, your chances of getting something good are much better than if the batter has control, then the batter's going to roll, and then it's typically better for the active player, I guess.
Right. But even if you do have control, there's always those few chances that something bad could happen. And that really simulates real baseball. Like sometimes you're a pitcher and you throw the perfect pitch, but it still doesn't work out. And so it really captures that kind of unpredictability of real baseball, but we tried to really balance it with still not making it just a completely luck-driven game. There is still a lot of skill in how you make the different decisions and how you set up your lineup and making that right choice to play that card at just the right time. But it definitely has kind of that you never know what can happen, just like a real baseball game does.
All right, and the pitchers do fatigue over the course of the game too, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, we simulate the fatigue factor as it goes into the sixth inning. Their ratings start to drop, and they also could drop if by poor performance. So if they give up too many runs, every run after 5, their ratings start dropping. So we simulate all those kind of real factors and the game the best as possible.
Right. Did you start the game with how many pitchers at your disposal? Is it all your whole team is available?
Just once you start off with a starting pitcher, and then you have your relief pitchers that you can go to once needed. So there should be 3 starting pitchers and 3 middle, 2 middle relievers, probably a closer for each team set. But when you do a draft, you can draft however many you want, or can afford to build in your team, so that becomes custom to you. But yeah.
Okay, cool. And is there any worry, like, I guess you can get away with it as a spoof? So like you have the Philly cheesesteaks and the what is the Arizona tortoises? I think it was, right?
Sonoran desert tortoises.
Yeah. Is there any like risk with something like that where you're kind of playing on actual players' names and teams and things like that, or does that kind of fall under like a parody sort of thing?
Well, we hope not. So you better not.
No, I mean, obviously there's some of our players that you can tell pretty clearly who they were inspired by. And I mean, this isn't, I guess, spoiling anything, but pretty much every single player in the game was inspired by a real life player. And I think that's part of the fun for like hardcore baseball fans with playing the game, is trying to figure out who this player was inspired by, because all of the names, Mike came up with 99.9% of the names, and they're all like really interesting spoofs. You have to really think outside the box. But like one example that a lot of people like is Peter Thorne for Pete Rose. And so, there's different things like that, but I think we pretty safely fall within parody range, because I don't think we ever come too close. And also our artwork doesn't look specifically like anybody. They're straight up, 8-bit characters. So
Yeah.
I think we're pretty safe. But if they want to, sue us over our little bit of change we're making off the game, then we'll see how that works out.
And I thought it was cool too that you guys have female players in as well. So you have like Jenny Mays, for Willie Mays and that kind of stuff. So like I thought it was cool because I don't know, in the world that we live in, you're like, oh, there's no girl baseball. Like you always have to wonder about like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've always was a big fan of the movie A League of Their Own. So one of the teams is kind of a spoof on that team. So it's Rockville Cherries.
Cool.
That is a complete girls team that we have on there. So yeah, so some of them are actually spoofs from that movie, and then just spoof on other player names, and even got my wife in there, and so
cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, my favorite female player is Ruth Babe. I like that one.
That's cool. I'm sure somewhere someone is probably groaning some sigh of whatever.
Yeah, if the ghost of Babe Ruth wants to sue us because we use Ruth Babe as a girl, then so be it.
Now, this is the first Kickstarter for you guys. How did you find the process? Was it what you expected? More than what you expected?
Yeah, Kickstarter's a different animal, and we're kind of experiencing it with a sports-driven theme is a little more tougher niche, I believe. We're big Kickstarter backers ourselves, so we're already familiar with Kickstarter, and we have friends that have Kickstarted games, and so we've gotten a lot of experience as far as like people telling us what to expect and so forth. But I think with a sports theme, it's been a little more difficult. A lot of Kickstarters maybe that play games aren't big sports fans, and then you got the sports fans that would like the game, but they're not familiar with Kickstarter. So it's kind of been a little tough in the beginning, or in the middle here, I should say, due to that reasoning.
Yeah, it's kind of a niche, right? Like you've got to have board gamers who are sports fans, and again, you sort of have that divide where I love board games, and I don't know what your sports ball is, kind of thing, and
right.
You've got that sort of kind of back and forth between, like, I'm a sports fan myself as well as a board gamer RPGer, but like I don't know that that's as common as you'd think.
No, we're a rare breed, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, it's definitely we knew going in that we kind of had that playing against us was that it is a very niche market. The nerds who are into the games that we play a lot of times aren't sports fans, and then the sports fans a lot of times aren't into the board games. So we knew going in that was going to be kind of a uphill battle, but we've learned a lot from the experience, and I have to say I've actually been pleasantly surprised. Like, you hear a lot of horror stories about how sometimes your backers can be crazy and come at you with all these crazy demands and complaints and all this stuff. And we've had a really great group of backers who have been really cool and are really excited about the game. And so that's been really encouraging. A lot of good feedback so far. So we definitely are going to take a lot of stuff that we've learned and mistakes we've made with this campaign into our next one and do it even better and bigger. But for our first campaign, I have to say, I mean, overall, I've been happy with how it goes. Even Mike can talk more to this, but even like building out our Kickstarter page, Mike handles all the graphic design and stuff for us, whether it's at the game or on the Kickstarter page. But their Kickstarter page to actually like design your page is not the most user-friendly thing in the world. Like, it was a big learning experience to even design the layout of the page. That took us, I would say, I mean, Mike can again talk more to this, but it at least took twice as long as I initially expected it to take us, just because it wasn't a very user-friendly thing. I mean, it was almost like designed for like a 90s website of how like you would go in and lay it out. Like, it was not like very user-friendly. So I give a lot of credit to Mike, because I think our page for our very first Kickstarter, I think it looks really nice and professional. So Mike did a great job of overcoming that, but I just can imagine how much nicer and better our page in the future will look now we have that experience. And so there's a lot of things. Obviously, we've made a lot of mistakes, and we had to overcome a lot of stuff that will serve us well in the future.
Yeah, you want to talk to any of that stuff, Mike, or no?
Yeah, what Chris was saying is true. Yeah, Kickstarter is like, this whole setup of it was not as easy as I expected, as far as like just page layout. But I mean, wasn't horrible, but yeah, it took me longer than I anticipated it to. So next time I'll know to start more ahead on getting that page ready, because I was like cramming like the last few days, like trying to get it all finished up. But yeah, it's a different animal. But now I've got, I set my own templates up now for it and stuff like that. So I've got a better idea of how it all works now.
Cool.
Do you feel like there's any trepidation from backers, coming, as a first-time designer with, a bigger box game? It's not, it's not a card game. It's not a, just like a straight dice game or something simple. It's a little bit more, more moving parts. You feel like people maybe are hesitant to jump in on a new designer?
I'm sure that has a factor into a lot of people's minds, being a new time designer. One, just not having that initial support from a prior project, so where everything is all starting from scratch, besides what we've been leading up to on social media and so forth beforehand. So I'm sure that has a big factor into it. But I feel like all the backers that we've had so far don't seem like we're pretty upfront about what we're doing, and we're active, and we've been active on social media, and so we're not operating over in Iraq or anything like that. So
Right.
Yeah, I do think that has definitely been a bit of a factor, especially because we can look at the numbers like on Kickstarter of how many people have clicked to like follow the project and who haven't backed. And we have a large number of people who are, I mean, like a lot of people who have just clicked to follow the project. And I think maybe a reason we're not converting on as many of those at this point is because of some of that, trepidation about a first time, project of this size. And so I think a lot of those people are kind of giving it a wait and see approach to see how the campaign plays out and see how we are and how we interact with everyone before kind of giving us their trust by pledging. And so it definitely is a factor. And hopefully, we can win some of those people over to jump on the bandwagon here and, support this project. And then hopefully they continue to support us on our future projects as well.
Yeah. October was a crazy month of Kickstarters too, so there's a ton of competition out there this month. So I'm sure that didn't help us. So, but yeah, we were warned of that like a couple weeks before, but it's like, oh, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah, well, as you're committed at that point, yeah.
Our production company, Liaison that we have here in the States, what we're producing over in China. He warned me. He's like, I got to warn you. There's a lot of competition this month that but there was tons of projects that went on the same day we did, and so that kind of maybe put us down further on the Kickstarter pages to just the fact that there are so many of them going on right now. So lots of different factors.
Well, like Chris was saying too, you hear the horror stories about, backers demanding this and that. And, you're saying they have a huge follow list. I know there's a lot of people, I've heard, spoken to people like, yeah, I'd, wait until the last, and not just a remind feature, but like, I want to see what the stretch goals are. Like, I know I'm getting it below MSRP and I know, I'm getting a game that I want to play theoretically, but like, what else am I going to get, And I don't know. I've never understood that. Like if you are interested in a project, you want to support a project, it looks interesting, it's, fits a theme or whatever that you enjoy, you get in the back. Like if it just funded flat out and you didn't get any bells and whistles, like cool, I still got a game that I can play that I'm theoretically going to enjoy. Like the other stuff is cool, but people become, habituated to these huge Kickstarters and like all these stretch goals and, I'm going to get all this extra stuff and, I don't know.
It's kind of like a catch-22 also, because you have a lot of people who they say, oh well, I want to see what all stretch goals. I'm going to wait to the end to see what stretch goals are attained, or if the project's going to fulfill. Some people don't want to pledge to a project that's not going to make it, but if everybody does that, then the project won't make it, and so it's like, it's kind of like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're like, oh, I want to see if it's going to make it, well, it's not going to make it if everybody thinks that way, and so. Like in our research, we find that you get the majority of your backers in like the first 2 days of the project and then in the last 2 days of the project. So the middle of the project is like a tough road to kind of keep some momentum going. So the goal really is to be within like striking distance of your goal in those last 2 days, but that's a challenge. You got to make sure that you can keep that momentum up through the middle, so that way you can get that late rush that's going to put you hitting all those stretch goals and getting exciting. So I wish more backers thought like you though, and just was like, hey, let's jump on the bandwagon early and get that momentum going. But unfortunately, it seems like you get your loyal people that and made personal connections with. They all jump on initially, and then everybody else is kind of in that like holding pattern to see how it plays out.
Yeah. And the thing about Kickstarter is it doesn't cost anything to initially pledge either. So hey, if you don't like it how it goes, pull out of it towards the end. But yeah, it's just kind of frustrating, but that's just the nature of the beast, I guess.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, if you want to get in and you're like, well, I don't know if I want to, if it's going to make it or whatever, you throw your money in, and if it doesn't fund, you're not you're not out anything.
Right.
I don't know if some people maybe don't understand that.
Yeah,
I don't want to get charged and then I'm not going to get it,
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just a lack of knowing how Kickstarter works for a lot of people too. Especially, I think, with maybe a lot of the interest that we're attracting to our campaign are people that aren't as experienced with Kickstarter or haven't really used Kickstarter before. So I think that maybe that's the, keeping them back from hopping on.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. Um, is this the kind of game you could see expansions with down the road, or is this like complete set? You've got your 16 teams, and you have everything to play with.
No, I already have the other two teams already in my head worked out. So two more for sure that I know that I want to do.
Nice.
On top of Chris is right now working on getting the solo mode done. So which we were actually including that in the Kickstarter as far as a free PNP download for those who kickstart would be able to get the PNP files of the solo variant. But it's not completely ready yet, obviously, so we couldn't include it. It'd hold back manufacturing of the base game. Sure, but by the time they got the base game, the PNPs would be ready for them, so the game would be technically a solo game as well when they would receive it. But yeah, we definitely have a lot to do. I have different ideas, different expansions planned for the game, so it's not a one and done base game.
Okay, cool. You guys have mentioned you're active on social media and going through all that kind of stuff. What's your take on social media and how it relates to our board gaming community and Kickstarter, and how are you guys navigating all of that?
I like Instagram probably the best. It's, I don't know, more easier for me to use, I guess. I don't tweet really, so I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Twitter. Facebook is fine, but I find people more conversational on Facebook than Instagram. Instagram is more just look at pictures, like, and go. Yeah. But I've met a lot of good, really nice people within the board gaming community because, as you know, the board gaming community is a great thing. It's so many great people that play board games that bring people together, and everyone's willing to help and share, even like from designer standpoints and Kickstarters and so forth. Everybody we've talked to has been a big help to us and helping us with information. So, but yeah, through social media, it's been nice meeting, engaging, and new people and seeing what games people are playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point of our society, like if you want to have something like a board game company, social media has to be a huge part of it. You have to be out there because there's just so much noise, especially in the board game industry. It seems like there's a zillion games getting released all the time, and so it's important to try and get that mind share of people who you're just putting your game out in front. But at least with our social media, Mike heads up doing all of our Instagram posts and all of that. And we really focus on not just pushing our game. Obviously, right now during the Kickstarter campaign, pretty much all of our posts are about the Kickstarter. Naturally, you look at our feed, we generally are really just posting about the other games we're playing and talking about games that we love. So we're not just about self-promoting ourselves, but we're just about promoting the hobby. And I think that's really benefited us a lot and gotten us a lot of followers, and that people don't want to just be sold to all the time. They want to be connected with people that they can actually have a meaningful conversation about with something unrelated to that person's business. And so we've really had a lot of success with that. And Mike does a great job, running that account. And then me personally, I really like Facebook groups. I'm in several like board game designer groups, board game publisher groups, just board game fan groups, but particularly the designer and publisher groups, as we've been going through this journey to get our first Kickstarter launch and our company as a whole launched. I've learned so much from other people's experience, and I'm really thankful for a lot of the people in the industry who are very willing to just share their experience in these groups. And so, when I was growing up and stuff, we get online and go on message boards. Boards don't exist anymore. Now it's Facebook and Instagram, and so I'm not old, but I've had to like adjust my, what I mean? But I feel old sometimes because this is new to me. Like I didn't even know Facebook groups existed until like a few months ago. And now I'm like hooked in, and I check my feed constantly to see what's the next thing posted. And so it takes me back to when I would get on and look for cheat codes online on the message boards for different video games or whatever. But yeah, definitely it's got to be a huge part of whatever you're doing nowadays, I guess.
Do you feel it becomes like a time sink? Like you say, you're always checking to see, what else is coming on. Does it begin to like encroach on other activities? You're like, oh wait, hey, dinner's ready. It's like, all right, cool. Wait a minute, I got to check this thing real quick.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like it's unfortunately part of my life 24 hours a day. But yeah.
I definitely.
Chris,
go
go.
ahead.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. Yeah, I've had to kind of set times, especially. I mean, I have a 3-year-old at home, and so a lot of my time on social media will be actually when I'm out and I'm supposed to be working, and I'll be looking on social media because when I get home, I'm busier at home than I am at work. Kind of crazy to say, but my son is on my neck, and my wife wants me to do this or that. So it's like when I get home, it's hard for me to even keep track. So I would say I fit it in during the day at work, and then right before bed, I get on there, and then before bed as I catch up on things. But yeah, definitely, it can be an addiction. iPhone not long, how much time you're spending on different things, and so it's made me how much time I've been even looking at my apps and stuff. So that's kind of helped me keep from going overboard with it too, because it's right in front of my face that you've spent X amount of hours on Facebook this week or whatever. So
Oh my God, you're like super robot-y all of a sudden. What happened?
oh no.
Well, I think you're back now.
That's okay. That wasn't nothing I said was important. So.
Yeah. It is cool though, because you can make some really like strong connections with people that you meet, through Twitter, on Facebook or Instagram. Like, I've met a number of people on Twitter that like, one guy, James, like we go hiking around here, like he's local to Tucson, and we just happen to follow the podcast, and it's like, oh hey, yeah, I like to go hiking too. Oh cool, why don't you come with me, and blah blah. So we've been out a couple of times. When I was telling you guys beforehand, the mountain behind my house was on fire last year or the year before, and one of the guys that follows us on Twitter is like, "Oh shit, you beat me to the post. I was going to post that." And I'm like, "Oh crap, you're down here in Sarita, like damn." So just a couple of weeks ago, we went, hung out up at our local game store and like played games for like hours. And he's like, I don't play a lot of board games, but like, yeah, I'll come and hang out. Like we had a great time. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I have a similar story. I was in a math trade, which if anybody's ever done a math trade, you just put up stuff and you get mathematically matched with people to trade stuff with, board games. And so I traded a game with someone at a convention, and then somebody commented on one of our Instagram posts, and I recognized the person that was the person I several times, and I had no idea that they lived right here.
Oh my God, you were like
a
super
we've actually
robot.
been talking, and it's
oh my God, what is happening? We got like half of that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're like super choppy. I don't know what happened. Like you've been great the whole time.
Yeah.
I'll try and see if it helps.
I'm losing you guys.
Uh-oh. This whole thing is falling apart. Did you try turning it on and turning it off again? There goes Chris.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can. I saw that you dropped that a minute ago. It was like, uh-oh, must be bad connection or something going on. Okay, maybe we've got Chris. Are you back? Are you a robot still?
I don't. Am I?
Oh, try again.
No. Can you hear me?
You're still choppy.
Oh,
damn
no.
it! Now I have to edit.
Dang
I don't
it.
normally edit these things. You guys are killing me. All right. So we'll just skip it. We'll edit it
Now
out.
you're like a robot.
Oh my God, this is the worst. I can't drop the call. I hosted.
we were due. It was working fine.
Oh no. Oh well. All right. Let's take a pause.
Okay.
There'll be some silence on the thing. I know where I got to edit now. Um, do you guys have like a favorite style of game, a particular theme, a particular like game style mechanic, something with a rondelle that you guys really favor over something else?
Uh, if I were to say what my favorite like game mechanism is, I really like engine building. So I like any time that you can slowly build up this chain of reaction of things that are just going to kind of trigger and fire off to score you a bunch of points. I really like that. And then in general, I'm really love anything with cards. So I'm much more, if it was between cards and dice, I'm always more of a card like hand management games, cardings like that. But those are probably my top two favorite. What about you? What are your favorites?
I like a good abstract game. I guess that's probably not one of the most popular genres of games, but I really enjoy that.
Well, is that they're so easy to teach normally, and you can normally teach an abstract really quick, and it does have that depth. My favorite abstract game is probably Hive. Have you played Hive, the
I
little
have.
bug tile game?
Yep, I had the app on my phone for a long time. I haven't actually physically played it, but yeah.
I didn't even know there was an app. I have to check that out. I didn't know there was an app for that game.
Yep.
So yeah, I love Hive. I've taught it to like so many non-gamers. Get it because the way I always explain it is it's like chess without a board. So basically, that everybody can kind of. Most people have all played chess at some point, so it normally works out pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So stuff like Onitama or like even like Shadows in Kyoto is, it's area control. I mean, cards, hand management kind of thing, but still, like it's that kind of abstract thing. Santorini, um, like that kind of stuff. Like even like Through the Desert and Samurai is kind of abstract. Like it's area control, but there's this other element.
Yeah, I was gonna say even Samurai has a very abstract feel to it. So yeah, I definitely I like that style game as well. Yeah. Are
Yeah,
you
like
back with us now, Mike?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah,
Sorry
they're
about
like,
that.
no, you're fine. Yeah, like you said, they're super easy to teach, but like there's that layer of complexity where you could just, Onitama, I think it shows like, 15-minute average game time. I mean, we play at work, we play for one game for 40 minutes because you're just like going through all the permutations and stuff. Like it's just so good.
Well, it's funny. I'm actually the opposite of you because I have played Onitama a ton, but only on my phone. I don't have the physical copy, so just like you with Hive. But I love Onitama. It's like there's so much thinkiness in it because you know what moves your opponent has, and you have to choose so carefully which move you're going to make because you're going to give that move to them in the future. It's like such a simple but deep game. I love it. Yeah.
We played at work yesterday, and I was cruising through. I thought I was going to win, and the guy started getting more space on me. Moved his master across the board. I'm like, "Fuck, I'm going to lose!" Like, there's no way. Like, how am I going to lose? Like, he's got this wrapped up. Like 2-3 moves, this game is over. And I'm like, you know what? We each had one pawn and a master left. I started bringing my pawn back, and I wound up beating him.
Wow.
And it was just like, had I tried to like push the advantage and be like, oh, I'm just going to make a break for it, I totally would have lost. So you kind of like flip the script and be like, no, I'm going to go out of the box and I'm going to try to like, come back and, play defense. And like, it was totally the way to go. It was so good.
Well, you have to get the app on your phone, and we can play together as online play. Because I just been playing randomly, so I need to play with somebody who has more experience to see if I can match wits with you here. So we'll have to give it a go.
Hell yeah, I have it. Yeah, you got.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll give you my username after, and we can play a game. It'll be fun.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I tried I tried learning that the other night, but I fell asleep. So. But it was late at night. I was in bed and I had on my iPad, but. No, I want to learn it. It looks fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. But so I was asking, Mike, do you have a favorite style of game? Co-op, abstract, deck builder?
Definitely not co-op, but
me neither.
I like to beat people, so I don't want to share in victories.
High five.
But no, let me see. What would be? I kind of like worker placement games. I don't know. Seem to be a lot of the style I like, but I don't know. I'm into everything, to be honest. Even co-ops. I'll play co-ops too, but just not my favorite. My favorite game right now is probably, I mean, I would say Scythe is, but I mean, that's a more, deeper, bigger game. Not maybe up your alley, but
Yeah, I've seen. I haven't played it. I mean, it's beautiful for sure.
yeah. No, that one's a favorite of mine, but I have a ton here that I'm happy to play any of my games. So, but yeah, that one's always pops into my head as one of my favorites.
Cool.
We recently played a game of Root. Have you played Root?
No, I've seen it across Twitter, like all over the place. Everybody seems to be playing that.
Yeah, I was fortunate to get a copy of it here recently, and they got re-released, I guess. But we played that like a month ago. That was a lot of fun, and it was actually a shorter game than I thought. So it's not like a super long game, I don't think. So, what would you say, Chris? Maybe hour and a half max.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part about Root would be, if for any who don't know what Root is, it's basically like a territory control game, but every faction plays completely different. Like you're literally 4 factions all are playing a different game, so it's
it's
the
totally
hardest,
asymmetrical.
Yeah, totally. So the hardest part or the longest part about that game is just everybody learning what each individual person does, because you almost have to teach 4 different games if 4 people are playing. But once everybody actually knows how to play the game, I'd say easily we played it in an hour to hour and a half. Once everybody knew how to play, it just the explanation on that takes longer because you just got to teach it multiple times, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
I love asymmetrical games though, where every side plays totally different. But probably my all-time favorite game though is Netrunner. It's a two-player card game, asymmetrical, and me and Chris played the heck out of that game. So
that might be one of our most played games is Android Netrunner, and it's now discontinued. It was one of those living card games, so it was kind of like a collectible card game, but you knew what you were getting, so you weren't chasing booster packs forever.
Right.
But it was a lot. Anybody who hasn't tried it, who gets a chance, I would definitely recommend trying it. It's a really unique asymmetrical game, but it's going to probably get a little expensive to play now that's out of print. But I still love that game whenever I get a chance to play it.
Cool. If you like asymmetric, Mike, have you ever played Seven Ronin?
Yeah, Chris owned that game, and I did like that game.
Yeah.
Such a cool game. Yeah.
Yeah, we played that a ton when I first got it. Now it comes out a little bit less frequently, but I still enjoy that quite a bit. It's really hard.
Yeah, I think I was there when they released it at Gen Con, and that's why I first saw it at. But yeah, Chris bought it shortly after that, and I like that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that really drew me to that game too was just the artwork and the art style of that game is just beautiful. Like, yeah, I love even like how the one player board, it looks like the ninjas or the samurai drew it in the sand, how they even designed it. Those little subtle touches just add so much character to the game that I think that's a game that really flew under the radar. It should have got a lot more buzz than it did. I don't really ever hear anybody talking about it.
Just those little ninjas. There's just so many of those little ninjas that they need I don't know if we could have some nice ninja meeples or something for it to be more awesome. But
that would be really cool. I don't even remember where the hell I saw it, but yeah, I went up to Isle of Games and I'm like, hey, do you guys have this? They were like, no. I said, well, can you order it? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I was like, all right, we'll do it. We played the hell out of it. Even, you're talking about the player boards, even the player screens, one side looks like you're peeking through the bamboo where the other player screen is like a solid wall of bamboo, even to that level. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see that attention to detail with stuff that doesn't even affect the gameplay at all, but it just adds to the experience of playing the game. It just makes it more fun. I love when a company goes out of their way to do little stuff like that.
You ever play Santorini?
I have it, yeah.
Yeah, I figured that one might be one that you might like there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of these things. Like I see all these games, you know, Root and all this stuff come across Twitter, and I'm like, I don't know, like I'll play anything at least once. You know, I'm you know, like you, I'll play anything. But not every game like really, you know, grabs a hold of me. So you know, I saw these posts about Santorini when it came out, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it looks okay, I guess. They had it at Isle, you know, on the pre-owned table, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab it. And man, we play the hell out of it. My daughter's boyfriend. He loves it, and he can beat me at it, so he likes it even more.
Yeah, I like the game. I just feel like some of the powers on there, depending on who you get, you can be screwed. So it varies. But I do like the game. I like the challenge though of it. It's a good chess, you know, kind of game.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And what do you guys have currently hitting the table?
Let's see. What did we play last? I think we played Root last, didn't we? The last time our game nights haven't been happening much the last few weeks.
I was gone last week in Utah for my sister's wedding, and so we didn't have our normal game night. But I did get a few games played on the trip with family. I played Takedo for the first time, which you know, I guess I'm a little late to the game with that one because a lot of people have played that one before, and I loved it. I thought it was really fun, and it was a big hit with my family. They all liked it. I think it was a really cool. Like an entry level worker placement game because you don't have a ton of choices, but there is still enough strategy in there. So that was really fun. Trying to think what else we played on the trip. King Domino is a popular one with my family. We play a lot of King Domino. So that one was a lot of fun to get to the table.
Rogers of the Ganges.
Oh yeah, we did play that. That was very different than King Domino, much more on the deeper end of the spectrum in that.
It's a great worker placement game. Like I said, I like worker placements, and that one was awesome.
Yeah, we actually got to play that at the grand opening of Snakes and Lattes here in Tempe. The board game cafe just opened, and we played Rogers of the Ganges there. And it's a very deep game, but I will say it has one of the coolest scoring mechanisms ever. So if you ever get a chance to try it, just to see that scoring mechanism was really cool.
Cool. I have to try to swing up that way. It's so damn far, but it looks like a really nice place.
Yeah, it was cool. Just don't bring a family of 5, but because it cost me a ton of money. But you know, yeah, no, it's a cool environment though.
It's still cheaper than taking a family of 5 to the movies, so I'll vote for it in that. It's still cheaper than that.
You didn't see my bill, Chris.
Well, dinner at a movie is not cheap for a family of 5. I don't even have a family of 3, and it's expensive. So I can only imagine what it is for 5.
Yeah.
But you'll have to at least come when you come up. If you come up for the game fair this year in March, that would definitely be a place to check out when you're on this side of town for that.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check. Are you? So I mean, we have a ton of cons here in Arizona. Do you guys make it out to a lot? I know you said you're going to BGG Con. We met at Maricopa Con. You guys came down for RenCon.
Yeah, I've gone to Game Fair, Arizona Game Fair, the last 2 years, and we'll be attending there from here on out, and we're actually going to have a booth there this year.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, RenCon was a lot of fun. I like that. Down Tucson, that was a lot of fun. Maricopa Con, that was our first year doing that one, and if you don't kickstart it, you don't get in. So that was kind of one that you just can't do on a spur of the moment. But I used to go. I always go to the Phoenix Comic Con or whatever they call it these days. The board gaming is becoming a really big presence there now. This year there was a huge board gaming community and section at the Comic Con, which was awesome. So that's usually what I do, is just hang out and play games instead of walk around and looking at comic books.
Yeah, I mean, I'm same as Mike pretty much. BGG Con in Dallas will be my first like out of state gaming convention, so I'm really excited for that. Other than that, I've just been, the Game Fair, Maricopa Con, Comic Con. I was really excited to go down to RenCon. We're planning for next year to go down for the whole weekend instead of, we just made it down for one day this last time. But I really had a great time down in Tucson this year, so plan to spend more time there next year. But we'd like to do Dice Tower West eventually. We're not going this year, but the one that just popped up in Vegas would be really cool to go there and see some of the Dice Tower people and all that would be kind of neat. So maybe that in the future, but conventions are fun. It gives me an excuse to play games all day, so I'm down for any convention.
Meanwhile, Mike is trying to like sell games and do demos, and
yeah, I just get to play. He does all the work.
That's all right. I mean, if you got to have it one way, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all good.
Do you guys do any RPGs at all, or have you in the past, or no?
I never have done an RPG. I'm not opposed to doing one, but I don't know. I had a group of friends that really were into RPGs. I mean, I would love to do a Star Trek one because I'm a Trekkie, so I always thought that would be fun. But I don't know.
Well, they have one now.
I know they got to. I mean, they've always had some, but I know they came out with some with a new one that looked pretty cool. But
yeah,
got to talk Chris into doing an RPG one of these days.
I totally would do an RPG. I'm not much of a Trekkie. I like playing Trek board games, but I can't say that I'm a Trekkie. I would be lying if I said I was. But I think I've never played an RPG. Same reason as Mike. I just never had a group of friends that were really into it. But I've always been really interested in it because I love the aspect of character building and really like customizing your different characters. And I actually think I would love to run an RPG because I love writing and storytelling and things like that. So I think it would actually be really fun to kind of run one and be the dungeon master, game runner, or whatever. But I've never had the opportunity to. So maybe one day I'll get the right group of friends together and we'll be able to run a campaign of something.
Oh shit, we should put something together. We can do some kind of one-off thing. We'll get you guys on and play something.
I'm down. Yeah, let's do it.
As long as it's like sci-fi related or something, that's more what I'm into. I'm not, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, we could probably put something together, and that'd be cool. Cool. When you guys are playing games, when you have game night and stuff, do you find yourself breaking down new games that you get to the table, like, oh, this is an interesting mechanic, or like, oh, I see how they put together, this and that?
I buy games just to see the mechanics of games. So yeah. I may not even want the game, but I'm like, I want to see how that one's played. So yeah, no, we do.
I think it's kind of sad that at this point I enjoy talking about games as much as I enjoy playing the games. So like the whole post-mortem, breaking down the things that we really liked and all that. I love that. Going through the different strategies available to you and all that type of stuff is kind of my favorite part of gaming now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to play the game. I love to try and win, but I love seeing the creative ideas that these different designers come up with and the uniqueness that's still out there. Like there's thousands and thousands of games on the market, but there's still so many little unique twists you can find and everything.
Yeah. Now, Chris, are you a talker when you play? It's like you're going through the game like, oh, I should have did this, or like, 2 moves ago when I did this, I should have did that, or, I thought you were going to do this and you did that instead.
No, because that all's running through my head the entire time. But we have a pretty competitive game night. On Wednesday night, it's normally the same 3 of us. It's me, Mike, and our friend Nathan. And I have to say, I'll admit right now that I'm probably in the standings. I come in 3rd. I mean, I win my fair share.
That's
do
out
win.
Of 3, by the way.
That is. So I'm last. But I win. I win some. But they definitely finish higher than me in the rankings. So I don't want to give them any help at all by giving any narration to what's going on or any moves that I missed or that they should take. But it's definitely the first thing that comes out of my mouth the moment the game's over is we go back and replay all that stuff. But yeah, they don't need any help. Mike and Nathan, they take me to school quite a bit. I just try to keep up with them.
I'm usually saying, crap, I forgot to do that. But that's I could have won if I'd done that, but no.
Yeah. See, I wind up with the running narrative. I think a lot of times when we play, the guy I play with at work, he's not a board gamer per se. Like I was playing with another guy who recently, left work where I'm at, And so it's, it'd be the three of us together. I'm like, hey, we do board games if you want to play. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll try it. And got him hooked. Like he's deep now. Like he's been out to the con. He's buying board games. He's trying to get his wife to play stuff. And because he's not like, as I'm teaching games, like we'll be playing and it kills me because I want to win so bad. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying don't do that move, but if you do this and this, it's going to be better for you. And he's like, oh, all right, well, I'll do that then. And then like afterwards, be like, okay, you see why I said that, right? And he's like, oh yeah, I get it. That's good. Fuck, I lost though, like,
yeah, that's one of the reasons I really like our Wednesday night game nights, where it's more of a serious game night, because whenever I play with pretty much anybody else, I almost never win at all, because I do exactly what you said. I even when I'm not doing that, I don't always play optimally, because I feel like when somebody's playing a game for the first time, nobody wants to get crushed by like 50 points. Yeah, and so I'll intentionally try to like play a little suboptimally, keep the game close. I don't let anybody win, but I'll try to keep the score low. But then I always feel like, man, I just don't get the same fulfillment from playing like your best game. You know what I mean? So I like on Wednesday nights, even though I lose a lot, that I can really like stretch my brain power and see how well I can do.
Yeah.
That's what my son does for me on video games now. He lets me win. Or he goes easy on me, and I know what he's doing. Don't ever go easy on me, Chris.
No, I don't have to.
That's cool. It's like me and my brother. Like that's, I don't know if it's alpha gamer syndrome or not. Like, I guess when I play with my brother, it's more of a brotherly thing. And it's like, I just want to crush you, like completely and utterly destroy you.
Yeah, no, I get those feelings playing games with Mike all the time. I want to win very badly. I was really happy. I was on a little bit of a winning streak, but then it all fell apart on me. I had won like 3 games in a row, and I guess I got a little too high and mighty, and then it crumbled on me. But it happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Well, so what else do you guys have coming down the pipe? I actually know some of this already because I've played some of these other games. But what do you guys got going on?
Our next project after RB8 will be coming. Tentatively, we're looking at like February to launch. So it's still up in the air, but that's kind of what our goal is. And it's a much different game than RB8. It's a card game. It's a trick-taking card game that you have had the chance to play a couple times now. It's called Clockwork, and I think it's going to really find a lot of people a good market, because it's very different. If you played trick-taking games before, it has some different mechanisms that I've never seen before myself, and I'm someone who loves trick-taking games, so that's one we're really excited for. And then we have some other projects in the pike too that I don't know if Mike wants to share anything about yet or not, but
yeah.
Clockwork is the next one for sure that definitely look out for if you're at all interested in trick-taking games. It's one that will have it's easy enough to teach. You could literally teach this to non-gamers, anybody who's played spades or hearts or any classic trick-taking game, but it has some unique depth to it that I think you could even bust out with your gamer friends. And it would probably be a good one for you to pull out at work, even if you have a third player. You could play in a lunch break pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
It's a steampunk theme. I don't know if Chris mentioned that or not, but yeah. So it's going to have some cool artwork on it. So if you like steampunk and trick-taking games or card games, you're gonna like this one, I think. So we're excited to get this one out. This one will be more for the mass markets of Kickstarter genre, I think.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say probably an easier sell, right? Like a card game is gonna have, a low price point. It's more of like an introductory sort of thing. Anybody who's interested in like you said, trick taking games or steampunk genre or theme. It's a fun to play. It's quick to play. It's not something you've got to invest, an hour, 2 hours or something. You can play a game in 15 or 20 minutes, half hour maybe if you've got a full boatload of people. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I was glad to play with you. I'm excited for you to play it again, because we've even we just got in a new prototype of it with different design on the cards. We're now using like the tarot size cards rather than the poker size cards.
Oh, nice.
So I think that it definitely makes it just makes the game stand out a little more, and makes definitely the text easier to read, because that was one of the things we kept getting, was the text was a little hard to read. And then also we are now have a 2-player variant of it, so we can even play a 2-player, which we're excited to get some more feedback on that. So maybe we can get met up with you at some point so you can give that a try soon.
There's a sneak peek. We just got it in, so there's one of the bigger size cards, so it's pretty cool.
Cool.
But yeah, so we're excited for that one. And yeah, I think I told you about one we're working on. I think it's going to be right up your alley on this the next project that we're working on. It's called Buzz. Mm-hmm. And so we'll leave it at that, and we'll show it to you next time we'll see you.
Fair enough.
You want to know what the Buzz is about, right?
We that's one thing that, we're not just a one-off thing. We have a lot of stuff in the pipeline, and we're excited for that. So, we already kind of have our next 3 games lined up after RB8. And so obviously all 3 of them coming out is going to be dictated on how well each one does. So obviously if they all crash and burn, then we might not get to all 4 of our games, but let's hope that doesn't happen. And this is the start of us coming out with other games, because we eventually, we would like to even start publishing other games from other designers, because I know you've experienced this too. You could play games from designers that aren't published, and you're like, man, this game should be out there. People should be seeing this game. And a lot of times, people who are really good at designing games don't want to go through the effort of actually publishing the game themselves. And we would love to be able to team up with some designers and help them do that. But first, we got to get our own games out there and get a little exposure ourselves, and then hopefully we can start helping out some of the other designers in the community who want to get their games out there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, it's cool for a smaller company to look at other, indie designers and say, hey, look, let's do this together, and let's, put out some cool games. Because, you say you have, design a game, and you go to someone like, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but, Tasty Minstrel or, Cool Mini or not, or whatever, be like, hey, I have this game, I want to produce it. And depending on what their schedule is, depending on who they're working with at the time, like, they just might not even get a chance to look at something. And, it's not that it's not a good game. It just doesn't fit their style, or it doesn't fit their schedule. So
yeah, I mean, the board game industry too is with those companies are looking for name recognition with their designers too. It's like, what have you done? Because that sells games a lot of times. People don't even necessarily care what the game is. They'll just buy a game because a certain designer did it. And so I think it can be a little difficult for first time or new designers to get that first foothold, to get that name recognition. You got to get somebody to give you a chance the first time. And so we hope to be able to do that eventually. So if all goes well, we can hopefully start publishing some other people's games, maybe end of 2019, beginning of, next year. So
cool. Okay. I thought Mike was going to say something.
No,
I was waiting.
I was watching my cat jump on onto my cabinets, and I'm trying to get her off. So
he's entranced right now.
We got a new kitten, and you gotta train these cats not to get on your stuff. So
well, that'll
easily. I was distracted. Sorry. No, yeah, it's like having another baby in the house.
Yep. With razors for fingers.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that's, I enjoy doing this kind of stuff. I mean, we bring people on and talk about Kickstarter stuff, and we spend, I don't know, 5 minutes talking about Kickstarter stuff. But then, it's cool just to be able to kind of talk and, introduce people to, an audience, to be like, hey, this is our first game, but hey, I'm not just some crazy, this is going to be some one shot thing, or we're going to steal your money. You're like, hey, you're talking about your kids, your wives, your families and stuff. It's cool because you just get to meet people in a sense, for the audience to come in and listen to, because it's very just, conversation,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing is we're gamers just like you guys. And it's we enjoy making games, and because to me, games bring people together. And that's what I love about this is the thought of somebody playing RB8 or Clockwork or one of our future games and getting together with their buddies or their families and all sitting around having a good time. That's exciting to me. And, it's definitely, we're not in this for the money. We're in this because we love games, that's the thing. And it's I really enjoy the way this interview was, because it lets people see that, hey, we're gamers like you. We just love games, and it doesn't have to be our games we love. We love all games. So
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on and spending the time on a Friday night. Just nerding out, talking about games.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this is the alternative for me would be having my son, tackle me to the floor. So this is a great Friday night for me. So thanks for having us.
Oh,
My wife
absolutely.
took off to Costa Rica without me, so I had nothing to do anyways, right?
What?
So. Oh, by the way, I'm going to Costa Rica next week. Oh, okay. Now we have some great friends that took her there, so she's having a good time. So I'm going to BGG in a couple of weeks, so she's not coming with me. So she got to go somewhere, I get to go somewhere, so it equals out.
Hey, well, not only that, you get to play more board games while she's not home. Like,
Right.
Exactly. I got to get Chris to stay a little bit longer here and play some games.
Right. Cool. Well, I mean, check it out. There's links for everything in the show notes. We hope you'll go out and check out RB8 Retro Baseball. Price point's cheap. It's $39 for not a huge box game. It's not a scythe box game, but a medium weight style game. It's not a terrible price point. Like I drop $40 on a game without thinking about it. You start hitting, $60, $70. You're like, I don't know. Do I want to pick that game up? But I mean, you guys are like, right in a sweet spot. I'd like to think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the game, like Mike said, it has 250-ish player cards, and every single player has unique player powers. It's got custom dice. It's got a lot of you're getting a lot of bang for your buck in the box, where you're going to get a lot of replay out of that. So we hope people enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing people playing it and getting more feedback from everyone.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys again. For all of you who are checking this out later on, please, if you could, ratings and reviews on iTunes and whatever your podcatcher of choice is tremendous. Helps out a ton. We've got 2 sponsors for the show. Our long-term sponsor, Birds of a Feather Coffee. If you like coffee, if you don't like coffee,
I like coffee.
If you like coffee, there's a link in the show notes, or you can check out tinyurl.com/legendary brew. Neil, our own GM, has his own coffee business, roasts coffee. If you order the Legends, it's roasted to order because it's off-brand for him. So you're going to get it roasted and shipped out within a day or so. So it's going to be super fresh, and it's really good. Our new sponsor, Thing 12 Games, talking about small game companies. They also sponsor the show. They do more lightweight style games, some party type stuff with Click Click Boom. So if you could check them out as well, links again for them in the show notes. If you use code LEGENDS10 at either place, you're going to get 10% off your order. Birds Coffee has free shipping, so order early, order often. And you can pre-order Seals of Cthulhu over at Think 12 Games now. It was their latest Kickstarter. So we hope you check all that stuff out. Want to thank you for listening or watching, and thank these guys for coming on, and look forward to seeing you guys at the next convention.
We look forward to it. Thanks a lot. Well, check out that coffee.
All right. Awesome. There's one sale. Cha-ching.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks a lot.